list. There will be a full disclosure of the Epstein list, and when this begins to break loose, there's going to be a divine disruption hit the scene. There will be a full disclosure of the Epstein list. That list has names, places, and people. And hear me, it will be shocking who else is on that. It's going to be shocking that some heroes are even on that. It will be shocking some of the people that will cause you to fall back on heels and go, oh my goodness. The Lord is going to shake the narrative. Hear me. The narrative is going to get shaken. And God is not asking you to put your trust in any man. He wants you to put your trust in the living God. And the church needs to rise up and begin to put its trust in the living God and rise up to act and step up and step out. Now, there's going to come shocking exposure and shocking things where people that are in high towers and ivory places and people that have stood up and said, oh yeah, this one and that one, they're this way. And there's going to be a great shaking because the Lord wants the attention of his people on him. And you're going to see some of that coming out now. And that will be used for the goodness of righteousness. And it's going to have a shocking snap to it, okay? You got to be prepared for this. There's going to be some of the people you thought were this and that, and it's going to be shocking. And you're seeing many of the people that are already in places of leadership that are completely sold out to the spirit of Antichrist, even in the church, that are allowing certain terrible things to rise up and be on their platforms. And the Lord is saying unto you, this is not going to happen on his watch. There's going to come a great shaking, and you're going to see a division between the righteous and those who are not. I'm telling you, that's coming rapidly right now. So I saw that's strongly happening. And in this prophetic unveiling, all right, this prophetic unveiling that's happening regarding this Epstein list, I feel that there will be, and I sense this powerfully, that there's going to be several stages to it. Several stages will come out about it. It will not just be with that scenario. It's going to unveil many scenarios that continue like a landslide of that, okay? Now, there's going to be a lot happening here. There's going to be a lot happening here. The Lord is going to begin to shake loose some of this wickedness that's gone on. We're seeing what's going on with Disney, but I'm telling you right now, they're not too big to fail, and they're not too big to feel a very great amount of pressure in their pocketbook, okay? Disney's going to take a hit, okay? They're going to take a financial hit out of their arrogance that they can't be shaken. I'm telling you, they're going to get shaken. They're going to get shaken because God loves kids and God loves us, his children, and he wants to protect it. And when the eyes of the church get on it and we start to pray, we start to actually take action, then you're going to start to see change. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a shakeup there. There's going to be some things that happen. They're going to try to hide it. They're going to try to conceal the wound that they are having, but they're going to bleed out. There's going to be some difficulty coming to the pervy house of Mouse.
Is Mickey Mouse about to lose his house? It seems woke Disney fairy tales equal low ticket sales. Box office analysis of Disney's last 8 studio releases show a shocking loss of nearly $1 billion. Many of Disney's recent so-called hits barely broke even or flat out tanked. That includes big-budget Marvel movies like Black Panther 2, Ant-Man 3, as well as animation bombs like Strange World and Lightyear.
When they realize, oh no, we're starting to lose, oh no, it's really bad, you're going to see CNN fold, or it'll change hands. It's either going to go down or it's going to change hands. And if it changes hands, they're going to try to reinvent themselves. And I'll just say to them, have fun. I began to see a new freedom technology, okay? Now, I don't know who's going to bring this forward, but it could be the former president. He might actually do something like that. I think that would be more powerful than him even going back in right now. There's going to come a freedom tech one way or another. Now, will it come through the president? Maybe. Will it come through Elon and Don Jr. and all these people, this freedom technology that could come forward? I believe there's going to be a fresh social media voice. I don't know what's going to happen with some of the things that have gone down, but it could even be, and I have a strange sense that the chokehold could get very strong on social media, and then I see a window. Now pray with me about this, because I see a window in social media where, because of this freedom tech that could come forward, of making freedom of speech cool again, let's make freedom of speech great again, right? And you realize that could begin to happen. Social media, it could actually, you could see things like, Facebook and Twitter and all these different ones that have been the big conglomerate companies that are coming out. They could actually begin to release some of their stranglehold and let people talk freely again. That could happen. I know it's going the other way right now, and maybe it'll never happen, but I have a sense that over this, there'd be enough pressure from this that it would make the market competitive again, where they'd say, my goodness, if they're doing this, we better get with the program and start treating people better, right? Well, I shared at the beginning of this year about a topic called freedom tech. First of all, I prophesied that this could have been with number 45 before it was announced he was doing anything. Then I began to talk about this man, that Lindell would come out with some tech, and he did. We began to prophesy about a number of things, but I also talked about this man, Elon. This freedom tech we began to prophesy about with all that's going on. In other words, we could have one more round of a voice of freedom. In other words, we could be able to speak freely again on an open platform for the public, and it can't be shut down, censored, or silenced the way that they would like it to be. This indeed gives hope, because this man here, he's a rebel. He's a little bit of a rebel. I'm not saying that he's godly. I'm not saying that everything he does is going to be right. There could be a lot of wrong, a lot of unrighteousness happening, but at least he's not going with the narrative of the popular opinion of things. Now, this is what I prophesied earlier. I think also we're going to begin to see some things happening around this freedom tech that could bounce through 22, but we could begin to see freedom tech in 23. And this could be almost like a wild card answer in 2023 leading up to the 24 election. We're going to see them in the mainstream news again big time shortly. Okay, they're coming. Okay, the Supreme Court's coming back, and you're going to begin to see this taking place in a great capacity here. This is going to make some major headlines very soon, because they're going to make decisions that are going to rock things, okay? 2 years ago, the Lord began to tell us, he prophesied to us, that there would come indeed a freedom tech. Then Twitter happened. And wherever that plays out is still yet to be seen. But I believe this is going to induce pressure, as the Lord has prophesied to us. And if this sign happens, hear me. There's a sign for light. There's a sign for hope. And here's the sign. The sign is, if indeed Twitter creates enough pressure that other media platforms, social media, like Facebook, like YouTube, like some of these other platforms will begin to rise up, and they begin to unlock accounts and let people speak openly and freely, it is a sign that there is great hope, and even the right leader will come into office. And the Lord is saying unto you very clearly, watch for the sign. For the Lord has showed this to me, and I'm saying it to you. I saw part 1 of this, but part 2, and we've got to pray about this. Part 2, as we've prophesied, the Lord's been so gracious to share this with us, is that although these things began to happen, there could come a part 2 where, because of this, it will create pressure to let people speak freely for another round. And this is a silver lining. A silver lining. I want to share that with you because I believe this is highly possible and it could happen. Now, it could go the other way. We could see things not happen, but I sense that when this took place, the Lord had spoken to us in advance that there would be a freedom tech, and through Elon, specifically through Elon, through Lindell, through other ones like him, and then this social media with one more round would happen. And I believe we are on the precipice of this. We need to pray, because if this happens, that means they will take limitations off, at least to a degree. And then people can be heard again, and voices of liberty can be heard. And we could stay off some of the nefarious things that are trying to manifest by this time.
The White House on Wednesday said it was reviewing its options after a federal judge restricted certain government agencies from communicating with social media companies about content on their platforms.
We certainly disagree with this decision.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the Department of Justice was weighing its options after the Tuesday injunction. That decision came in response to a lawsuit filed by Republican attorneys general in Louisiana and Missouri. They alleged that U.S. government officials went too far in efforts to encourage social media companies to address posts they worried spread misinformation. The ruling said government agencies like the Department of Health and Human Services and the FBI could not talk to social media companies for the purpose of urging, encouraging, pressuring, or inducing in any manner the removal, deletion, suppression, or reduction of content containing protected free speech under the Free Speech Clause of the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The plaintiffs and many conservatives called the ruling a win for free speech. U.S. constitutional lawyer Floyd Abrams, who is senior counsel with Cahill, Gordon, and Rendell, called the ruling unprecedented. He said courts have never prohibited the government from expressing its views.
We've never had a situation where a government official or the government itself was barred by a court order from saying, but that's just not true. Take it out, please. Take it out. No force. But you really shouldn't be saying that because it's not so. And that's what this order does. So it's really quite unusual.
The judge made some exceptions for communications between government officials and the companies, including to warn about risks to national security and about criminal activity. Several social media firms did not respond to requests for comment.
The Lord's going to deal with that rock. There was a rock that followed them through the wilderness, but there is a black rock today. And this Antichrist Babylonian system that wants to stand up, control you, control your children. I hear the Lord saying, I will pierce the black rock. I'm going to pierce the black rock, and I'm going to pull back the veil on the black rock. And one of the signs to it will be the Epstein list will be revealed. People have talked about it. It's there, and the Lord shared this with me a while ago, and He prophesied it to me, that the Epstein list was not over with, that would still come out. There would be a revealing with that. Now, they're fighting tooth and nail to not have that happen. You got people being convicted, you got stuff going on. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a sign that involves the financial institutions of the world, and you're going to see some of these perverts drug into the light, and it's going to be through places like Elon's platform. Something like that is coming, where there will be places like Elon's platform that reveal it and release it. And that's what they're really fighting to conceal and protect. The perverts are going to have their day in the sun. And that's not a positive thing. And what's going to happen is it's going to begin to be drawn out, and you're going to find ties to BlackRock. And you're going to find ties to the World Economic Forum. And you're going to find ties to these sickos that are trying to run our society into the ground and ruin the very essence of our children. BlackRock. BlackRock, I say unto you, you are not above God. You are not above the living God. You are not beyond the Lord Jesus Christ. And the Lord calls to you as He did the Tower of Babel. You're going to see young, fiery journalists come out. You're going to see young torchbearers that begin to rise. You're going to begin to see people that will not take no for an answer, and they will bring information out. They're going to bring it out. You see everything from O'Keefe is coming out. You're going to see that happening. So you got O'Keefe, you got Tucker, you got the people like Bongino, and you got many more that will rise up. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more young leaders, young lions, that begin to be almost an army of truth that begins to bring out what needs to be said. And you're going to see it more and more.
And so let's watch this undercover investigation with James O'Keefe as he exposes BlackRock.
They don't want to be in the news. They don't want people to talk about them. They don't want to be anywhere on the radar.
Why not?
I don't know, but I suspect it's probably because it's easier to do things when people aren't thinking about it. All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians. I work for a company called BlackRock.
Meet Serge Varley, a recruiter at BlackRock.
Campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidate.
The sign of Madonna, because I think there's a similar spirit there, and the sign of the Queen of England. Watch for them, and it'll begin to radically come forward and transform some of the narrative and talking points.
All right, turning now to some breaking news. We have just learned that Madonna is in the hospital.
She is fighting some kind of bacterial infection. CBS 2's Dana Tyler in our newsroom now with the breaking details. Dana.
Christine and Maurice Madonna's.
When the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was burst, that set in motion a domino scenario that is leading to this oceanic circumstance. Subs, ships, all of this. I am so stirred by this right now. I pray protection and a window of protection over our Independence Day week. The entire week. There's going to be sea again. The sea will be in the news.
Being brought to us right here from the debris from the Titanic's tour sub that has been recovered here. So these are the first images that we are seeing from the Titan here. The dramatic images capture crews unloading pieces of the doomed sub off the Horizon Arctic ship onto dry land at the Canadian Coast Guard pier in St. John's, more than 1 week after it imploded around 13,000 feet underwater close to the wreckage of the Titanic, killing all 5 men on board. Now an international group of agencies is investigating what may have caused the implosion there. So we will continue to follow it for you all right here on Live Now from Fox. But again, wanted to bring that to you, of course, showing you these really dramatic images all caught right now just moments ago and being uploaded to us.
You're going to see strange things in the heavens and strange things in the signs in the skies. And this is where that false UFO narrative is going to really come to the forefront. Listen to me carefully. You're going to see more and more distraction narrative. You're going to see more and more distractions. You're going to see more and more symphony of distraction as they try to cover over what's going on. And even this document scenario that's coming out and the word we wrote on the board about classified and all this, you're going to see more of this transpiring and coming out on the scene. But let me say something to you very powerfully. Watch the small news, pay attention. There are micro wins, meaning small victories, that will accumulate into a roar in 24. This UFO narrative, and I'm going to get into more about this, is number one, what we're seeing right now, absolute distraction. Why? Well, don't you know? Because the classy son has a computer that has some discoveries on it that actually have recordings on it. Now they're finding out that lead all the way to the nation that is being sent billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars being sent right over to them so they can go ahead and begin to continue their nefarious activities of covering up all of the regime's nonsense and illegal activity. Now you're seeing this go on, and this distraction is this. But now I want to say something to you, because for the last 2 or 3 years, the Holy Spirit has had me prophesying about this, okay? Now, they've just come out, and a recent article came out. People are like, they have not, they have too. They have come out and recently said, we found remains of a craft or things that are of non-human origin. They called it non-human origin. So let me say this to you very clearly. Here's what we got to recognize. Number one, there are 3 things. Well, there could be 4 things. But there are 3 main things. Number one, there could be an absolute tech that's out there that's beyond our comprehension. That's what this is. Number one, a tech that is super advanced that we don't know about. And there's probably truth in all 3 of these narratives. Number 2, there's tech that's advanced, number 1. Number 2, Project Bluebeam. I don't do probes.
right? But when I see these little green fellers running around, I reckon something's up here. So I just say no. This is an old commercial called The Trunk Monkey. You ever see that? Where he's like, I don't do probes. And this little monkey jumps out of the trunk and beats down all these aliens with a wrench. It's awesome. Now, the third one is it could be real. You say, what do you mean real? I'm talking about fallen angel mess out of Genesis 6. Now, this is important that I get into this. And let me give you a number 4. Number 4, and this is going to be like a no-brainer, but I want you to hear this. Number 4 is just simply a media lie.
The investigative journalist Ross Coulthart was the first to interview David Grush. He joins us now. Ross, a lot's happened since then. Your interview for News Nation started the cascade of events that's brought the UFO conversation mainstream. Even Senator Marco Rubio is saying we should listen to what they have to say. When you heard the senator talk about this yesterday in the last 2 days on News Nation, what was your reaction?
It was terrific to finally hear what I've known behind the scenes for quite some time, that senators and representatives are taking this extremely seriously. What a lot of people haven't realized until now, until Senator Rubio made that admission, is that there have been hearings, secret hearings going on in the Congress for at least 2 years, where very senior witnesses, including people with very high clearances from within the government, from within the intelligence community, have given evidence about, believe it or not, a UAP crash retrieval program and reverse engineering program, which is improperly, illegally, and in some cases criminally being withheld from the public and the Congress. And it's quite extraordinary, I think, to hear this admission by the senator, because he's now bipartisan. We now know that Senator Gillibrand as well is saying that she wants hearings, and also in the Congress and the House, there's push from both Representative Burchett and also Representative Mike Gallagher. So we're looking at a bipartisan push here, Blake. Yep. It's a very significant moment. This is really getting momentum.
They're going to try to push back on AI. They're going to try to slow that down. And yet it's going to run away from their hands in many areas. I do believe there will be a pause for a moment, but it's going to break loose still.
AI is rising, but beyond dollars and cents, some big tech execs are sounding a new alarm about AI, saying this: mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. Dan Hendricks is the director of the Center for AI Safety. Is that hyperbolic or reasonable on that take, Dan?
So many of us are, in fact, concerned that AI in the future, and given that it's progressing so rapidly, could, in fact, lead to human extinction. There are other risks, like it making society go a lot more poorly or tearing apart the fabric of society. But yes, it could even lead to extinction.
Okay, so here is Sam Altman when he was on the Hill just a few weeks back, when he kind of said this. Watch.
Regulatory intervention by governments will be critical to mitigate the risks of increasingly powerful models. If this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening.
Yes, Dan, I hear that. I've got 2 questions for you. Government's not making this, private companies are. So, why pull government into it when the technology company should hold the responsibility? And number 2, when they say they're going to wipe us out, what does that mean?
Right.
Does that mean? Like? Yeah. Give us are we talking about the computers running nuclear programs around the world? Define that.
Sure. So I'll answer the second part first of how could this possibly lead to something like extinction. A basic scenario is if people later on use it maliciously. If they take an AI system and give it a goal like take over the world. Somebody tried to do that actually in the past or within the past few months. It didn't work because the AI systems aren't powerful and intelligent enough yet. But they could be at that point in a few years' time. Another possibility is if AIs develop goals of their own. If they develop goals of their own, and if they're smarter than us, that could put us at a existential, or that could possibly lead to extinction. What happened with humans is that we're the smartest and we're the top of the food chain because we're the most intelligent. It's not because we have the sharpest claws or the biggest teeth, it's because we're the most intelligent. But we might pass that mantle onto AIs, and then they might be the smartest. So if they have goals separate from ours, we could go the way of the Neanderthals or of the gorillas. And then for the other part of why not leave it to the tech companies? Well, basically, they are locked in an AI arms race currently. So they're racing to develop extremely powerful AI systems as quickly as possible. If they don't, then they get outcompeted. So they're prioritizing the development of AI over its safety. So this will lead them to cut corners on safety. So since they're trapped in an AI arms race, and we know that arms races, like nuclear arms races, don't go well, we're going to need to make sure that they're not caught in this sort of dynamic where they're pressured to build these things very quickly. We don't understand these systems, and it's very difficult to control them.
So I'm trying to keep up to speed on this as much as I can. I can't code. I don't know. I don't really understand. But I listened to something yesterday with an expert saying that they are optimistic about AI and all the things that it can provide for us. So where do you come down on that? Are you a techno optimist, or are you really concerned that this could lead to the extinction of the human race?
I think most of the machine learning community and artificial intelligence community was generally extremely optimistic about AI earlier when it was a lot less powerful. So there's generally a sense that we ought to race forward as quickly as possible to our predestined technological utopia. That's what a lot of them thought. But now we're seeing that this is becoming more of a societal scale technology, and we ought to be substantially more cautious than we were previously. So consequently, in the AI community, many of the top experts have shifted over in just the past few months to being much more concerned about the risk of extinction from AI.
All right, but Sam Altman said he wants to work with the governments. He wants regulatory intervention. Sam Altman made the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it too late?
What was he thinking
I'm just going to
about?
sit back and watch and listen. But we appreciate you coming on, Dan.
Yeah,
Thank
Dan,
you.
Terrific. Thanks for your time today. We'll speak again. Thank you.
These days, there's a lot of smoke on the topic of angels and spiritual encounters. I don't know if you're like me, but I like results when it comes to the things of God. That's why I believe the Spirit of the Lord had me write this book, Servants of Fire. This is a last days prayer manual of prophecy, intercession, and angelic activity that really will get results based on the Bible and real horsepower. I encourage you to get your copy today at josephz.com. Well, I am so thankful you're here. You know, this ministry is expanding. We are growing, and it is to the glory of the Lord. And I want to say something to every partner here, whether you are a recent partner or been with us a very long time. From the bottom of our heart, thank you. Partners, because of you, we could not do what we're doing. We're taking territory, we're building new media all the time, we're advancing, we're putting out written materials and giving away content all over the world. And we're so grateful to you for it. You send us on journeys that cost nothing to the people who are bringing us in. And I want to say simply to you, thank you. Now, if you want to join our partner family and you're watching, I encourage you to do so today. You go to josephz.com, or you can text the keyword GIVE to 719-259-0029. If you join our partner family, you're going to hear from us. We will love on you. We will pray for you. We will stand with you over all your dreams and your visions. And I'm telling you what, Heather and I, we constantly are praying for our partners. So please consider, if you're on the fence, join the partner family and let's do this thing together, both in prayer and generosity. We believe that God is going to make all your purpose, destiny, and dreams come to pass. We're standing with you for it. So thank you for considering partnering with us today. Again, you go to josephz.com. We have a lot of territory to take, and we want to do it together. God bless you. Remember, on a bad day, you're the best there is, and you are called to be and shine the light in darkness. I'll see you again next time right here as we continue bringing a now word of the Lord. God bless you.